This is Cobb with GFC GIS, and this is a demo on the new CPG Map Printing app. This is an application that's specifically to print map layouts to go with the Community Protection Grant treatments, fuel reduction treatments. And so we shouldn't be using Google Earth or anything like that to print our maps out for this project. This is really easy to use, and so let's just see how it works here. So clicking the blue icon at the bottom, there's only one button on here, so it has two tools. The first one is to find a tract and zoom to it, and then the second one prints the contents. It creates an actual frame on the screen, and whatever's inside of that frame, the extent, is going to be printed. So we can search by either landowner or burn ID. You can start typing something, and then, or else you could select from the drop down for all the owners. That's a little bit cumbersome, but if you start typing, then yeah, you'll get it. Now, in this case, you see, it looks like this landowner's had a couple of burns, and that's okay in this case. It could be in different funding years, and so maybe over the course of time there would be more than one associated with the landowner. If you search by burn ID, then we can filter out that other one, and so it's this. We're just going to want to map this one specific burn in this case. So you can close the filter window. It's still applied, you see, until you click the toggle, and that takes us back out to the full extent. And then, so you apply that, and we go to this zoom to the track. So when we click the print button, it's going to draw a frame around the outside here, and that's going to show us the contents of our map frame. So it's really good to see exactly what you're printing, which is not the case with the web applications. It's hard to see. It's zoomed out too far, or not centered. It cuts off part of the track. So this will alleviate that problem. So to see the whole frame, usually you want to kind of maybe zoom out one level. I just click the minus, and then when we draw the frame, we're going to see it. It pretty much draws pretty close. It tries to estimate based on the extent of the view, what the size of the frame needs to be. Sometimes you need to adjust it a little bit, but generally it's pretty good. So this is pretty square tracked. I think this works okay. We can also, if we wanted to use any of these other ones, usually you'll only be using the letter portrait and letter landscape. That's the 8.5 by 11 size. It fits. It's a normal paper size. If we wanted to, we could go to this. You may have to refresh the layout, and this would be the layout for a portrait sheet. It's probably, I would go back with the landscape. It's just as good. And so what we want to do here is edit this title here, and you can do that by clicking on the track. That's going to bring up all the information. So if we type in the funding year is 2015, the last name is Castleberry. The CPG ID is 2016, and the completed acres is 313. I'm pulling all that straight out of this table over here. You see, I know it stays up as long as we have this track selected here. 313. Okay, so we got that. Now, the only other thing you wanted to do is maybe if this is for a printout, if you're going to be printing this out, like to a TIFF or as a hard copy, you'll probably want to boost up this is for a web, a web site, like if you were posting an image to a website. But for a print, you may want to boost that up a little bit. And you may want to, you can put your, if you wanted to put your name, this is just going to print out at the bottom of the, in the margin. So we could do that. So then we got that, and all we have to do is print this thing out. Unselect. If you don't unselect, it'll still have that blue margin around it. So just clear that selection, and then we can print it out. So whatever you see, whatever's inside of this frame is going to be what we print. So we can have a great deal of control over our extent. So here's a PDF. This is a, has all the map elements we need. It has the logo, you can see underneath the pop-up, and scale bar, all of this stuff. So also, that's a PDF, but you can choose from a variety if you needed another type of format, like a PNG or a JPEG, to go into like a presentation or something. You could do that as well. So in some cases, and what I would always recommend is we have a couple of, you may get stuck with this thing when it's trying to redraw the frame and so forth. Like if you zoom out, I just zoomed out with the mouse wheel instead of the button over here. And what happened is it hangs up a little bit because it's trying to redraw that frame. So if that happens, first of all, the first thing to do is probably just refresh the app. I clicked up there because it only takes a few seconds really to and that pop-up is going to be this video actually is going to be in pop-up, and once you've watched it you can set it not to show the splash screen again. So, but easy enough to just try one more time, and we'll go ahead and get that burn ID. You see how both of them show up in there. Zoom to that. And we have our, remember, zoom in and out with your buttons, not the wheel. We can close this, get our print. I'm not going to go through the title again, but it just takes a matter of a few minutes to do that one more time. And you can move this around and center it. So that's the way that works. If in the case that you go through this, say a couple of times, and you still are hanging up, what you can do is, I've got a link here that, see the reason that it's hanging up is mainly because this has this custom frame in here. It's a custom widget that we can't put onto ArcGIS Online. It has to be on our own GFC server, which unfortunately has a few problems. But if that happens, then don't just give up. You can go here to this link, and this is going to open a very similar app, except it's going to be in ArcGIS Online. And so here's the one in AGOL. It looks just like it. You're going to search the same way. If I can get and then 2610. Boom. Now with the print, it's not, you're not going to have that frame. So what you're going to need to do is, in this case, you wouldn't zoom out at all because we just zoom to the extent of the tract. And so what you'll have to do is a little more to it with this, just a few other items. So you click the pop-up to get the information for the title. And then in advanced, you're going to want to make sure to set this to preserve the map extent. And then the author, since this is in AGOL, we can't change any of the defaults, so the author would have to be entered in here. Scale bar in feet. And then if you're mapping your printout, you'll change the DPI, just like that. So you see, you don't see the frame, but you just have to have faith that that's what you're gonna get. Then the reason is that I preserved the map extent here, because with the scale, it's gonna depend on the size of your page that you're printing out as to whether or not it has the right extent. So this is pretty good. You see, it's not with the other tool. You could probably zoom in on this a little bit, but this is certainly good enough. A lot better than, say Google Earth or something. So here's you can see it's in feet and everything is the way it would be. So this is an alternative. Always try to use the frame because we can get a better map that's zoomed to the correct extent. But this will work. This works pretty consistently. You just have to remember to change those settings to preserve the extent. And then, the other items, it's going to say Web Map Builder by default for the author. So that's that. And so, just if you have any problems or questions, you can get in touch with me or Michael Torbett in the GIS department. And thanks a lot.